Good morning. Oh, Lord, help us. Hey, everybody. It's Wednesday, so I think I'm going to keep my glasses on. Might make my eyes funny or something. But do you like the look? Do you like it? Do you like it? I'm kind of finding it fascinating. So it's Thursday, Thoughtful Thursday. It's the eve of Friday. Is anybody happy about that? Tomorrow is Friday. Oh, and by the way, tomorrow I won't be broadcasting. I'll be off the air. We'll be out of town. So I'll make sure I tell everybody so I won't be on air tomorrow. But you are welcome to go to my YouTube page and view one of our previous broadcasts, right? So tomorrow we'll be off the air. Choose which one you like, play the one you like, and listen to us. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow, right? So today is Thursday. So this morning I want to talk about, have you ever had a bad breakup? But before I do that, next this evening at 7, make sure you join me for an encore presentation from Mr. Talk. Let's talk about it, right? Kawan, it's Ask Kawan. Kawan is coming back and he's going to talk about gay while black, right? And he's also going to talk about HIV prevention and male sex workers. So make sure you join us this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that means after you've had your dinner, before you tune into the NBA, you can watch us while you're watching the NBA, so the TV screen's on or whatever. I think the NBA has a game this evening because it's ramping up. It's April. They should be close to a playoff or something. You see how you know? You see how you just know these things? That means the sports is all rigged. It's designed for you to go into a sports bar, spend money on liquor, spend money on chicken wings. So Tyson and Purdue are making a boatload of money. Spend money on chips, Frito-Lays, Pepsi, the whole thing, all of them. They're all making a boatload of money off it. So what we need to do is to find a way so we can tap in, right? So instead of us being the consumer, we become the producer, right? Right. so, so thanks so much. Yeah, perhaps tomorrow you can stream one of our shows. I think I'll be driving at about the time the show is on. So we might not be able to even join you in streaming something because we'll be driving, right? So you know how that is. Sometimes you have to take a break, right? Right. So how's it going, everybody? Everyone having a good morning? I'm doing well. Had some good sleep last night, finally. Got some good sleep. How about that? Every now and then you hit a spot and don't sleep well, but last night was pretty good. I didn't even know when it was morning. That's how good it was. I didn't know what happened. All I know is I fell asleep. And then next thing I knew, the alarm was going off. And I was like, what's that sound? It's mighty irritating. What is that? Then I realized it was the alarm. And I'm like, well, why is the alarm going off? It's just like 1 o'clock. No, it was 6 a.m. So I slept well, got up and powered up and did my exercises. So I'm good, right? I'm good. So just thought I'd make sure I put that in. So and so on. So and then I had my tea, I drink my herbal tea. Anybody else drinks herbal tea? You guys drink herbal tea? Do you drink herbal tea? Don't you guys drink tea? Tea's such a nice alternative. By the way, who's a coffee drinker? All of you. Right? I don't drink coffee. No, I can't drink it. It's too bitter. Too bitter for me. Way too bitter. Too bitter. Nah, I can't do it. Can't do it. So I drink tea. But what do you guys think about Justin Smollett? Do you guys think that he deserves a second chance on Empire? You can ask me my opinion on Empire. I haven't watched that since the first 4 weeks of the first season. That's how long ago. From the first 4 weeks of the first season, that was after that, I couldn't do it. I was out of it. I was like, oh, no, 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 no. So I don't watch it. So who watches Empire? So this guy, Justin Smollett, looks like he's going to get his job back. So it looks like his publicity worked, right? So now he can go on and say, well, I'm attracting millions of viewers. So now I should get $1 million per episode. And the rest of us are like actually smart. If you knew you could avoid going to jail, the rest of us are not that bold, right? So a couple days ago, we had someone on our show, and we were talking about how she got to jail. I found out yesterday that she actually was enrolled in college and was downtown trying to sell weed and trying to make extra money. And then they placed, in order for them to get a felony conviction, they had to put something else on her. So they put on her that she had a gun when there was no gun, so she ended up being locked up. And then in total frustration, hey, how you doing? In total frustration, she ended up getting a record, ended up pleading guilty to something that she hadn't done. So I was talking about it yesterday. I was with some folks yesterday after my show was done. I was talking about it, and of course, it reawakened everybody's angst about you. Good morning. It reawakened everybody's angst about how the justice system is sluggish and how cash bail is a big problem, right? So we talked about that. But then I heard a story that you're going to hear me talk about. I'm going to have some folks on to talk about later on. This woman, her son is a black man, and he started dating a white girl in a small town in Michigan, right? And good morning to you too. And he, after a month of dating her, he went to visit her in her small town where she lives. He lives in Flint, just outside of Flint, one of those little farm towns outside of Flint. And did I just sound so Southern? Did I really? I can't believe I did that. No, no. Back me up, people. Tell me no, Harriet. Just say it. So he starts dating his girl and they have their thing going on. And then he turns up dead after a month. So they said that it was suicide. But when they went to do the autopsy, he's left-handed, but he was shot on the right side of his head. Then they found bruises and scratches and cuts on his back and on his knees. So they didn't show me the pictures, but the pictures exist. So they brought it to a friend of mine, and she starts making some moves about it. So we're going to have her on the show at some point. She's going to come and talk about what that was like, right? Because we got to talk about stuff like this. We can't continue to just let things slide. You have to talk about it. Right? We have to talk about it. Like this morning, we're going to talk about bad breakups. Who's ready? Who is ready? I know you're all so excited because you really just want to hear about my bad breakup and what I did or whatever. Right? Hello, how are you? But I don't know that my stories are more exciting than yours. So, have you ever had a bad breakup? Anyone? Has anyone ever had a bad breakup? You're going to leave me out here? So you're saying you're with the partner you started life with. Okay, more power to you. But for those of us who have had a bad breakup, what is it like? What is it like? One of the stories that I heard from a guy friend of mine who is now dating, and I think he's going to marry this next person, is that he dated someone. And she had a thing when he apparently told her, he probably did it badly. He shouldn't have slept with her and then told her after sleeping with her that he was finished. That's what I thought. But he did it anyhow. And then guess what she did? She left her underwear under the bed. So he doesn't know, right? Here comes the new girlfriend, right? The new girlfriend is in bed and something falls out of her hand and she goes on the floor to go look for it and sees ex-girl's underwear under the bed. And whoa, everything just went daisies after that. I mean, it just went cuckoo crazy after that. So dude, he didn't know what to say. He got caught with his pants down because he probably told the new girl that he hasn't dated anyone in a while. And so what's a fresh pair of panties looking like? That doesn't look like it's been under there for 6 months. And so he didn't know what to say. So, of course, he projects this onto her to say, it's your panties. She's like, I just got here. It's not mine. I don't wear that. Blah, 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 blah. Which just made the situation worse. So, of course, there was a breakup with the new girl. There was a breakup with a new girl. What do you got? Has that ever happened to anybody? Because I'm going to tell you my breakup story. My breakup story was, I found a pair of earrings by his bed, and he couldn't get out of it. He tried. He really tried. He said it was his daughter's, and I'm like, but she hasn't been here in months, and you wouldn't have her earrings by your bed because you wouldn't bring her into this space. So that's not her earrings. And he tried to say it, and then he couldn't say it. And then he said, I'm sorry, I'm a dog. I shouldn't, and I couldn't. And it was, that's my bad breakup story. It was so done. I was like, you don't even respect me enough to hide it. He said, well, I would know. And he couldn't, because he couldn't say it. And I said, text the person. And he couldn't text them. And I said, destroy it. And he couldn't destroy it, because if he destroyed it in front of me, then that would be admitting it, because he still wanted me to believe that I was making a mountain out of the fact that it was actually his daughter's. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So have you ever had a bad breakup? Seriously. I think we've all walked that road. And I wanted to talk about it from the perspective of baggage. What kind of baggage do we leave behind? Right? It's not just that it's the physical baggage, like in my friend's case, where he found panties under his bed that he didn't know was there. That means he didn't really clean the room. He should have really disinfected, fumigated the room, but which caused a problem in the next relationship he was trying to establish. But what kind of baggage do we leave behind in a bad breakup? We've all been there. One of the things that constantly emerges is that breakups do happen, yes, because we meet people and then we perhaps, don't like what they do, right? We don't like what they do. Sometimes we don't like necessarily what they say. Sometimes for whatever reason, the relationship goes off kilter. It goes off the wall, right? But when it does go off the wall, what happens? What kind of stuff do we leave behind, right? It's not just that we leave behind physical baggage, but what about the emotional baggage? What about the stuff? I heard a story about a guy told of when he broke up with his ex, he started seeing the other girl. And when the girl he planned to marry, they got back together, and how men are, they go through a series of women because they can't make up their minds right away. Then they break up with one because they say, you know what, I'm better off marrying that one. So the one he chose, the ex-girlfriend showed up on Thanksgiving, and she created a scene. And I'm like, well, it was Thanksgiving. She was lonely and she wasn't spending it with you, and she probably knew you had the other chick over, so she was mad that you chose the other chick over her. But what causes this to happen? Ladies, I'm just going to tell you right now, honestly, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry about it. If he's not for you, keep it moving. Don't scratch his car. I've heard stories about, I've never done any of those things, like scratch cars, slash tires, smash windscreens, throw dirt or whatever on their homes, or throw garbage on their lawns, or trash people. I've never done that. I've never had to. Perhaps because I felt as if the way I look at it is, if we break up, then you're not the one for me. That's how I look at it. And if you're not the one for me, then you're not the best choice. And then I don't want it if you're not the best choice. That's how I look at it. I think that's the way we should look at it going forward. You might like someone and think that they're super duper, they're 1000% the person for you. But if they don't think like that, there is a problem, isn't there? There's a disconnect. That's what causes some of these things to happen, right? We're enthralled with someone, and at first they act like, well, I'm all yours and I'll always be yours, until they meet someone else, right? And then they're like, well, this new person is the one. So what do? You keep it moving. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, you've invested. And ladies, it means something to us, because some of us invest in others. We invest in men. You pay their bills. You help them to go through school, right? They live with you while they're going through a rough patch, right? So they're all in while they're in a rough patch. And the minute they come out of the rough patch, they leave you hanging and leave you dry. These things happen. Women do the same thing too, right? It happens to both sexes. That's a bad breakup because now the person is angry that really you were just really using me. You didn't want me. And I am saying when you go into relationships, I think you need to go in with your blinders on. I think you need to take the blinders off and look at the relationship. Why am I here? Why is he here? Why is she here? Why are you here? Why am I here and why are you here? That's a question that you need to answer because there is a story to tell if someone is hanging with you because they're in a rough patch. And because they're in a rough patch, they are needy. So they're going to do everything to stay with you because they need somewhere to eat, somewhere to sleep, right? They need a car to drive, they need access to Wi-Fi. I kid you not, these things happen. So someone going through a rough patch is not the same as if that when that person is on the up and up. So when they're on the up and up, what's going to happen? This is how people end up with people whom you end up with, and you send them through school. I've heard one story of a girl who worked as a waitress. They actually got married. She worked as a waitress and sent her husband through law school. And the day he graduated law school, he left her. The question I want to ask is from the beginning, from the get-go, what was going on? I've heard stories. I know of one case personally. I know of something where she met her husband. He became stepdad to her children. She worked as a janitor, and she worked as a janitor so he could go to school. He went to college. He got a doctoral degree, and after he got the doctoral degree, he left her. Didn't just leave her. He left her for a white woman, married the white woman, and moved to Florida. She's been heartbroken ever since. Totally heartbroken because she worked herself to the bone so he could go to school, so he could get his doctoral degree. Talk about a bad breakup. She's been bitter. She was bitter at first, but then she was angry. And when I met her, she's in later life now. So this happened maybe 10 years ago. So maybe at the time she thought she could get over it, but now she's in her mid 60s. And she's like, what do you have to tell me? What do you say to me? And all I could say was, you still need to. I said, let it go. I said, it's time out for that. Let it go. Because when you sit there with the accumulation of stuff, right? When you sit with all the stuff that goes wrong in our relationships, when you sit with it, friends, it leaves physical trauma behind. That emotional trauma that was a bad breakup has physical residue. The tension, the anger, the frustration sits in your belly. And over time, when it sits there, after a while, it becomes physical. It's almost like a physical pain. You see where I'm coming from? That's what happens when bad breakups happen. So how can we avoid that? Well, we have to work at it, right? One of the first things I've discovered is that when we're entering relationships, we need to identify from the outset what this is all about. Is this just a hookup? Are we just hooking up because we met in a bar and you were horny? I'm just being real. You were horny, you just needed sex. That's a different thing. That's not a relationship. That is what? That is just a hookup. Be careful and be upfront about that. As far as I'm concerned, if people are hooking up, you shouldn't go to each other's homes because then it becomes personal. So don't go to each other's homes and sleep in each other's beds. If it's a hookup, go to a motel. Do you see where I'm coming from? Because now once you start going to the person's home, after 1, 2, 3 times, that's not a hookup anymore the second time. You have now created a date. You have now established something. So we need to get our language and get our situations right? Thank you. Actually, it's the same hairstyle. I've been wearing the same hairstyle for a year now. I don't know, maybe it just looks new, but thank you anyway, right? So, but we don't think like that. So in today's world, people don't want attachments. It's the thing, it's been the thing for some time. They don't want to be attached. So they have hookups. So we hook up. That's the language. We get together when I'm free, when you are free, and we don't make a date. So they're not going to call and schedule anything. because it's not a date. But I'm like, if you're getting together 3, 4 times a week, you have a relationship. You don't have a hookup anymore. And if you're just hooking up, what a hookup is supposed to be one time, right? Go to a motel and be done with it, or do it in the back seat of a car in a parking lot. Whatever, that's a hookup. But if you're going to go to the extremes of going to the person's house and how uncomfortable it is when you get up the next morning and you have to tip down the stairs to walk out, hopefully before everybody else in the house wakes up if they live with other people, that no, we need to stop that. You see what I'm saying? Because those are the things that contribute. And here's the thing. If you're seeing someone on a consistent basis, 3 times a week, it's no longer a hookup, and you need to say that. Come clear and come clean with some integrity. Because now that person is thinking you must really like me or be into me. That's why you continue to see me. And men are especially guilty because you guys don't talk, right? You men don't talk. Men are famous for not talking. But at the same time, when a man does speak, it's very clear. So be clear. And women, stop hiding behind the shadows. Well, if he really likes me, don't assume anything. One thing you will learn about relationships is don't assume anything. Let it be written and stated. Let it be very clear. When it's clear, then we have boundaries and everyone knows where they stand. And frankly, if this is not for you, because for some men, hookups don't even work. Some men are like, I can't be bothered with that. Some men don't even do that. They're like, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I can't be bothered. Some men will date 1 or 2 or 3 women consistently because that's what they do, right? Let me see some comments here. Anybody has anything to say? Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Listen to this. Relationships have become like a fast food menu. Whoa. Have it your way. You're right. Pick what you want. It's like a smorgasbord, like they're at a buffet. Pick what you want out of it. And I think we women are at fault because we allowed it to happen. We bought into this syndrome that men are scarce because more men are emerging as gay or bisexual. So we think the available number of men heterosexual men for women have dwindled. So we sit back and just take any crap. And then all of a sudden he says, I don't want you anymore. And your feelings get hurt. Then you move on to the other one and he becomes jerk face of the year. I think we need to say it from the beginning and be bold and stand up for what you believe. Either he likes it or he doesn't. If he doesn't like it, then you definitely don't want to talk to him. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what we need to do. In other words, avoid bad breakups because bad breakups do give physical trauma, right? It's not the emotional toil involved in a bad breakup gives physical trauma over time. And if you've had a series of bad breakups, then you've had a series of emotional traumas that is going to create a series of physical trauma over time. So avoid it. One of the things I did for years was I didn't date for years because I felt that I needed to do some work on myself after being married to someone who abused me. And right after I divorced, I entered a relationship where I was also physically abused. And I said, whoa, something is wrong. I need to clean me. There's something broken in my mechanics and I need to figure this out. So for years, I didn't enter into any relationships because I felt that I needed to breathe. So I didn't do the hookup and I didn't do the this and the that and all that stuff. I said, no. I said, no, I'm not doing that. When I did I entered into a relationship. You see where I'm coming from? And I found that it's so different than when I had gotten married. Oh my God, have people changed? And the argument can be made that it's the culture today. And that's a successful argument. Yeah, it's the culture today. But who makes the culture? We do. We're the ones who are determining what is acceptable to us and what is not. And after a while, if you stop accepting what you don't like, then you will find that you will rotate out of that and will rotate into people who are more like you. Maybe online dating is not a bad idea. At least it gives you an opportunity to talk to people and to see what's out there. So you learn to talk to people. Social media is not a bad idea because then you interact with people to see what they're thinking and how they're not thinking. So you end up meeting people when you go to community events, church, family gatherings, if you go out to eat or something like that, and you meet people. So after you have interviewed candidates, right, then you determine which one is good. I don't think any of us should enter into relationships just off the bat. I think we need to do some due diligence. We worry about the money value of a relationship. Here's what someone is saying, and we have become a society of change lovers. Penny for your thoughts. Values of a man and woman are so far apart. So we worry about the money value, and we have become a society of change lovers. Well, that's true to some extent because a lot of people date people based on their occupation, right? Remember, I told you the story of a guy I knew who was an engineer and he married someone who is a dentist. And at the back of his mind, he was sure this was going to work because he was focused on the occupation. What happens is he and the person, they didn't like each other. So they couldn't cohabit. The space they lived in became a living hell because they didn't like each other. But they were looking at the money. They were looking at how much money they would make together and what kind of lifestyle that affluence could bring. A lot of people put emphasis on money. Now, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I'm not into broke people. And I don't think anybody should be with anybody for their potential. I think you need to look at people where they are, where they're coming from, and where they're going. Do you see what I'm saying? So when you say people look at people for worry about money, people are actually saying, here's the thing. I don't think you should make money a factor because then everything gets messed up. But money is a part of life. What are your views on money? First, you have to determine your own comfort level. If let's say you're a woman dating a man, right? And the woman has more resources than the man. She has to determine what's her comfort level. Is that okay for her? Is she okay paying all the bills? Is she okay always being the caregiver, the provider? Then the man in the relationship has to determine if that is acceptable for him. Because the person who has the most money in the relationship is what? The person with the power. And we obviate that. We skip over it like it doesn't matter. It does matter. Because the person who has the money is the person with the power. And the person with the power is what? Going to make all the decisions. So the person who doesn't have the power is going to feel what? Powerless. And they're going to do what? They're going to act on it. So you have to find out what is each other's comfort level. You're a scientist and you meet someone who is the clerk in the office. You have to find out what's comfortable. Is she comfortable living in your circle? Is he comfortable being in your circle? Is he comfortable with people calling your doctor so-and-so? Is he comfortable with people around you saying, hey, are you the famous one? Are you the one who is the actress? Are you the one who is the star? Whatever star that is, right? And so the person you are partnering with, if they have a problem with that, it's going to be a problem later. Because that's something that they have to resolve. They have to fix their own feelings of worth, of self-worth, and value. That's the value you're talking about, Michelle. The value. When people say that the person with the money has the power, what they really are. Do you see where I'm coming from? So in a and these things, invariably, doesn't feel empowered and feel valued is the person who is going to go back and cry. And who's going to go back and say, I don't feel good. And then it's going to be a bad breakup. Like, you don't believe me? Take Wendy Williams' breakup. When she and her husband met, they were both struggling. They had nothing, right? She was just a radio show host somewhere. She wasn't nationally syndicated. She wasn't making money yet. As their marriage grew, so did her net worth and her network. Now they're about to divorce. And they never signed a prenup because when they married, they had nothing. So he's entitled to half. Yeah. The law says he's entitled to half because he helped her build it. He was there with her. Yeah, I think you should do this, babe. Yeah, I think you should. What has happened, though, is that he got tired of being sidelined. You can see it in his eyes. own feelings of worth and value became diminished because he was not the mister. She was the mister in the relationship. She was the one. And so his own self worth and value that was always there and on the line, but she never saw it then, suddenly pops up. So the only way he could get back at her, what, is to go cheat on her and get the other person pregnant because it's in your face now. Deal with it. Do you see? Kind of icky. This is why you don't really date people for their potential, because you pay for it later on. It all has to do with a person's self-worth and their self-value. How do they see themselves and how they value themselves? Listen to how, and people are never going to wear a big sign on their chest. There's no big sign here that says, oh, I have low self-esteem, or oh, I have low self-value. That doesn't work. That's not how it presents. You know how it presents? By them being resentful of every stride you make, by them picking an argument with you about everything you say or do, by them saying you're always away from home, you're never here. That's telling you that maybe they don't like all the attention that you're getting. You have to be real careful. When I decided to start dating, I dated a guy whom I thought was on equal footing, right? He was successful. I thought he was fairly fluid financially. I never really asked. I just, based on how he presented, he had 2 kids. One was about to go to college. He didn't seem to be struggling. He had a solid, secure job. Had a very impressive job. He didn't just have a job. He had a career. Not a job. He had a career. And so I thought we were on equal footing. But at the time, I was being headhunted from a national radio show host. But this is before the 2016 elections. And then when people realized how it was going to go, sponsorship and all kinds of stuff changed. So a national radio show host began looking at how I could partner with them, and it was going to pay me a boatload of money, right? And we were actually in contractual negotiations. We were about ready to sign the ink, and then one station dropped him, another station dropped him because the market changed, ownership of radio stations changed. So I was telling this guy I was dating at the time, and I was telling him, where it was and so on. You know what was his first reaction? This is a clue. I had never seen it. I just assumed that the way he presented was he was comfortable in his accomplishments. You know what he said to me? He said to me, "Oh, so you're not going to be nationally famous, and you're not going to be nationally known?" And I said, nothing wrong with that. I said, is there something wrong with that? And he was, no, I'm just saying that now you're going to be nationally famous. It's the way he said it. I said, oh my God. I said, this man has unrequited feelings, and he has feelings of low self-esteem and self-worth. So we stopped dating. I stopped going out with him. We were going out, like go out to dinner, have breakfast, stuff like that. I stopped. So a few months later, I called him and said, we need to talk. And I brought the subject up and I said, what was that all about? And he didn't answer me directly. But what it turns out was that he had a dream of one day being interviewed on radio, and it had never happened. No one had ever seen anything in him. That's how he saw it. And so he went behind my back to someone he knew who was on one of these local radio stations. And he took a photograph and actually texted me to say, I was on such and such a show the other day. I was like, my God, dude, give it up. Isn't that a good thing that I saw that early and didn't get didn't get involved with him? You know what I mean? Do you see what I mean? What would have happened? Right? Yes, there are different levels, but we need to have faith in each other's abilities when stuff hits the fan. And no matter what, your strength combined is unbreakable. Self-worth for each other is more valuable. You need a wow factor woman and a wow factor man to substantiate your relationship. People are headhunters, But if your partner is within you as to your spirit, your grace for each other is timeless. Interesting comments, right? Very interesting, right? But do you see where I'm coming from? Now, that could have been a bad breakup, but I didn't, we didn't get that far for it to, be a bad breakup. I was just like, stop talking to him right away because it was bad. Do you see what I'm saying? So you've got to understand how people think. And if you saw this person on that, they look together. He looks like he presents as if he has it together. But you never know what's going on inside of someone's heart and inside of their head, how they see themselves. When we engage with people, you really have to stop talking and let the other person talk. You really have to listen, and then you go back and process. But you have to listen and hear what people are saying, because they'll tell you inadvertently, without realizing that they have disclosed so much, right? It's everybody, every one of us has had some baggage from a bad relationship. It's up to us. Everybody has had a bad breakup. It's up to us to do the work, because you owe it to yourself. Because if you don't clean yourself up from all that negativity that came from that bad breakup, you're going to take it to the next relationship. And you're the one who's going to hurt. You will never see the beauty in someone else if you keep having these bad breakups. You have to do the work to rid yourself of the negativity. And it takes time. So many times, you know what we don't do? We don't breathe in between people. I don't know how, I don't know. It's different for me. I swear that I can't do it. I can't do the break up with one today, with another tomorrow, or with another one next week. And, some people are able to do 3 people in a week. I can't do that. I can't speak to it because it's not my thing, right? I don't know how people do that. I think I have issues with people touching me coming from other people. I'm kind of germophobic when it comes to that. Don't touch me. I don't know where you've been, where that person has been. If you are free like that, then they are free like that with the other people. People could be, that's how I look at it. But more importantly is the emotional attachment. We don't breathe in between. Cleanse your chakras. Do deep breathing. Empty yourself of the negativity associated. In other words, you need to think about your ex and smile and laugh. If you're still thinking about your ex and you're still angry, we still have some work to do. But you need to get to the point where when you think about your ex, it makes you laugh because it's funny now. I'm sorry. It's spring. So my thing is activated, right? It's amazing how these things are connected, because my eye is seeing my hair, and my eye tells the brain that the hair is tingling my nose. So my nasal system just starts going crazy, and nothing could have been further from the truth. In other words, it's just perception. Perception is a heck of a thing. Sometimes people present very well and they hide a whole host of issues. You all men are not going to say anything right now. You guys are kind of looking at me like, if I were to tell the story, it's the truth. Because sometimes people present well, but they have issues you can't talk about. People have bipolar, but they don't tell you. So one minute you think you're with Jekyll, then you find out you're with Mr. Hyde. One minute you're with Miss Nice Girl, the next minute you find out you're like, where did this demon come out from? My God. People hide a whole host of issues. And sometimes these things people don't tell the truth about former partners. Like, if you're going to sleep with someone, you need to tell them about the people you've slept with. I slept with a guy who ended up sleeping with other guys. It's sex. You can't just sleep with people and just, when you sleep with someone, you take everybody whom they've been to bed with. Come on, we need to, this is part of the reason why things are the way they are. We have no integrity. People don't talk about their children, how many children they do have, where their children are. Are the children in your life? And people don't talk about money. I believe you need to talk about your inner spirit, what is inside you, and your conversation should be intense. For example, how were you as a child, a teenager? There are some things you can disclose and some things depending on your comfort level. But if you are going to sit down and talk with someone, you definitely should talk about the stuff that matters. And you definitely should talk about yourself. Because you could be sitting across from someone who looks scruffy, but the guy's a millionaire. The guy is somebody who is a great person, just having a bad hair day, didn't put himself together, or frankly, doesn't even see it as a necessity. But he could be a really nice person, could be great with kids, you know what I mean? A decent person in the community, and so on, right? So it depends on what your priorities are. I have found, for instance, that people like to focus on the physical. You know, some people say he has to be tall, dark, and handsome. And there are some women who say, well, you know, some women say that, and some men say, boy, she's got to be stacked like this and that. And so you pay attention to that, but you don't pay attention to the person on the inside. What kind of person are they? What are they like? Are they a decent person? Is this someone who, here's a question. You want to know what is your biggest factor? You talk about no factor. The biggest question you need to ask yourself is, if I get sick, is this someone who's going to take advantage of me, or is this someone who's going to say, you're on your own? That's the question you need to ask. That's the most fundamental question. That's what determines partnerships. Because if you've ever been in a nursing home, or you've ever been to a hospital and seen people sick laid up in bed and seen the attitude of the person, of their spouses, then you would know what I'm talking about. The biggest question you need to ask yourself, if I lose everything right now, is she going to be with me? And is she going to tell me about it? Is he going to tell me about it? Right? From Crazy Parents. Well, the thing with parents is that some people win the lottery, some don't. I never won the lottery with my parents. Like, I didn't get the best parents ever. But I feel that I did the work on myself to make me better in spite of parenting. So it's up to the person, right? You could be dating someone whose father is a serial killer, who is in jail. They're probably not going to tell you that. You'll find out later, but you have to judge the person. Do they have serial killer tendencies? So, hence the reason why some people don't disclose, right? I know that's what you're saying. You're nodding at me like, that's the reason why. Some people don't disclose. In today's world, for instance, HIV, it doesn't manifest because of the drugs that are available. So HIV doesn't even show up sometimes. So the person was tested for AIDS. They're taking their medication. As long as they take their medication, HIV won't even present, won't even appear. Guess what? That person meets someone and starts having sex with them and does not tell them that he's what? HIV positive. That's not fair. I don't care if it's not apparent. If you're taking medication for it, you need to tell me. Some people have a life-threatening illness or had a life-threatening illness and meet someone, but don't tell people that I had a life-threatening illness and it could reappear in 5 to 10 years. Right? You should talk. You should talk. And you have to open yourself to the risk that in disclosing what? People are probably going to walk away. Yeah, but you know what you have to trust? You have to trust the fact that what? The right person for you will stay. So maybe some of the people who walk away, they should walk away. They should go. But the right person will stay. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about commitment, you know, people just talk about commitment like, I just want to be with you and know that I'm the only one for you. No. Commitment means, are you going to be here come rain, come high water, come snow, come fire, come smoke, come this, come that, come storm, whatever it is. That's what commitment means. And we don't think that far. All we think about is, you're not going to leave me. You're not going to hurt me and run off with someone else. That's the least of your troubles, because there will always be someone else. The biggest thing is commitment. When you do get together, are you here with me for this ride called life? Are you going to be here? That's the real deal. And if we can look at it from that perspective, then you're going to siphon out and sift through the people who are just here for tonight's ride. They're just here for a drink. They're here because you can pay a bill for them. They're here because you can give them something. Do you know that? Sometimes we don't think that far. So, and especially men. And men, sometimes when you hear men say, well, women are this and women are that. Well, you kind of allow it because you allow these people to come into your life for whom you're going to be a bill payer for. DTE loves you. They have your credit card on file because you probably paid like 6 bills for different people over time. And you're all laughing at me. Right? So you need to think about it, right? Know what you are going to be in. Talk to people. Have a conversation. What are we in for? Are you in for this? Sometimes we end up going in a different direction. You ever heard of those things where people text you and say, well, my life has gone in a different direction. And you're like, no, it didn't, honey. You were always headed in that direction. You just didn't want me to know, right? I think we need to be, there's some women who say, well, and it varies by culture, because white women, you will find when they're in their 20s and they're not married yet, they just look at it like having fun, like they're experimenting, like sex is an experience and they're just having fun, right? And then they settle down and get married and they start having children. So it varies by culture. In the Black culture, it's a whole different mess over here, because Black people have different attitudes about commitment and long-term arrangements and long-term marriages. As most Black men don't think that they should commit. And that attitude has now transferred and worked itself across cultures now, across ethnicities, that men are now saying, well, I don't think that I need to commit until they get to a certain age. And then they realize that it's actually irresponsible of me not to. I can't begin to tell you the benefits of commitment. It's up to you to see it, but I can tell you this: you'll be happier. You're going to be better off financially because you spend less, right? And you're more secure and you develop loyalty. Hello. Do you know how important loyalty is? Loyalty is when you go to the doctor and they tell you something is wrong and you need someone to come pick you up. And then when you get home, you can't get out of bed, and you need someone to come and walk you to the bathroom and bring you a glass of water. That's loyalty. Someone who is going to check up on you, bring you a meal, a warm cooked meal, and not give you an attitude about it. Right? And not hate you for it. Sometimes we choose partners who are fly and dry. They're just fly by nights, right? They come in, they're glorious, they're quick, they're this, they're that, but they're not designed to be there forever. But we like the profile. The perception is everything. That's who you want to be with. And you choose that person, and then something goes wrong and you find that they're not there for you. Right? Hey, Kenitha, meet Mitchell Pope. Mitchell is one of my first viewers, so everybody has to say hi to him. Right? But do you see what I mean? So the question really is, guys and girls, the question really is, it's not about having a bad breakup, it's avoiding it, right? By choosing the right partner. Isn't it? Choose the right person, you avoid a bad breakup. Listen to people when they talk. Like the first date, the second date, and you just determine this is not going anywhere. And you just say, you know what? I think we're at crossroads. I wish you all the best. Don't ghost people. I hate that. How do people ghost people? They don't return phone calls. They don't return texts. They stop talking. They stop emailing. They stop phoning. Stop it. You create bitterness, and that person has anger and frustration towards you and everything else that is about you. Stop it. We need to stop this mass hating on one another, where we hate one another and we start ghosting people. We treat people badly. Stop it. That's a bad breakup. You're contributing to someone's trauma, especially if you have been with them for 3 or 4 or 5 times. And then you suddenly start ghosting. We need to stop that. Right? Hello. I know. Right? So avoiding bad breakups is the thing. Don't just have one. Avoid it. Period. You meet someone, the chemistry isn't right, it doesn't feel right, it's not feeling like it, stop it. Have a nice time. I had a nice time. Thank you so much. I think if I see you, I'll be able to say hello. Move it up, move on. That's what we do, right? Don't create scenarios where you spend time with people. Sleeping with someone, inviting them to your house to sleep with you is telling someone you value them enough to put them in your space. So you're making the person feel that there is something here. Come on now. This superficiality that we have developed around this is just not real. And that's what's causing all the angst. Why are you going to take someone to your house, into your bedroom, into your bed? Go to a motel. Have a running tab at Motel 6 or wherever. Do it in the back of the car. That's a random hookup. You met at the bar. You met in the dog park. You met at the coffee shop. You met while at the gym. That's a random hookup. You don't take people into your home. Frankly, you don't even exchange business cards at that point. It's just Jane and Jack. Jack and Jane, baby. Jack and Jane. Right? That's how you avoid a bad breakup. But for the love of God, you don't take people into your home. And then some guys say, well, is she someone for 2-3 hours or is she someone for overnight? I can't believe you actually have distinctions like that. So if this is someone who, you're one of those who will stay overnight, then he has to adjust his way of thinking and adjust everything else. Wrong. No, don't bring it. As far as I'm concerned, don't bring anybody into your home, period. Unless you intend to see that person for a period of time. And then when I heard a story, sometimes people have bad breakups, but they leave their sex toys behind. Anybody seen that? They leave their sex toys behind. And I'm like, so what are you saving it for? The next girl? The next guy? So the sex toy that you used on someone else is what you're gonna. My thing is just avoid all of that in the first place by try not to be with the wrong person. Talk to people, be nice, and be upfront. Let me tell you right now, this is not going to work for me. This is not what I'm looking for, but I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. I feel that you're a delightful person. And then, of course, people break up by text now. Well, text is an accepted form of communication. I still think you should do it in person, but it depends. I mean, you might be telling someone you're going to break up with them and they pull a gun on you, or they pull a knife on you, or throw something in your face. So I don't know about that. I think as sleazy as it sounds, it depends on what is going on. I know that after you've slept with someone 3 or 4 times, texting is perhaps not the best way to do that. But we create these scenarios. Times have changed, love. People have changed. It's not the way it was before. People go to bars and they have sex in the toilet, in the bathroom, and it's done. And you're like, and they glorify it. You watch TV, you see it all the time. So guess what? We start saying, hey, that's acceptable. Maybe that's what we should do. And then people say, well, people have been doing that for a while. That doesn't mean it's okay. And that doesn't mean that that's what works for you either. Right? So find your ish. Find your ish, what works for you. And be true to yourself first. And once you're true to yourself, everything else will flow and follow. Wow. Separate the trash, recycle. So the scenario is a man has, I'm wrapping up in just a few, right? The scenario is a man has 3 or 4. Most men have 3 or 4 women that they're seeing. Sometimes 5, but they have 3 or 4, right? They have the main one that they think is the main one. Then they have the other one, and the other one, right? And another one, right? So most men have. So they separate them based on likability or based on their own feeling towards the person, or their intention, I should say, towards the person. Yes, it does happen, right? So depending on how he feels and the other people involved, he's going to break up with them in a different way. Some people he'll just ghost and never call, never see again, and they understand that and keep it moving. And then there are some people whom he has to explain why. So what I'm saying is, because relationships are complex, the complexities of relationships are caused by the humans involved. We create the complexities because sometimes we say this behavior is okay and it's okay to just have a hookup, and then we find out that that's not what we like, so we change and we don't want that, but we didn't say it, so now you're finding it out and now it hurts. I'm just like, just tell it up front, right? That's how I look at it. I'm like, this is not for me. So what I do is I stay by myself until the person who because I don't play the games that people play. I'm not a game player. If you want to play games, go find find somebody who wants to play a game. I don't play games, right? Because I can't play games with my life because it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous sexually because people have sexually transmitted diseases. It's too dangerous with all the kinds of diseases that pass by touching hands and touching people's mouths and stuff like that. It's sex and so on. It's too personal for me to play a game with. Secondly, the damage done to a person's internal psyche. I feel responsible for you if I engage with you, but I don't want you. And then I tell you I don't want you. I feel emotionally responsible. So I don't do that. It's likewise, I hope that's the same way you feel about me. You see what I mean? So the perception then is everything to me. And the way you present, yeah, that matters. But who you are, the core of who you are, that's what should matter. What kind of person are you? Are you someone that if I'm on a sinking ship, you would stretch a hand out, you would do everything to save me? So it depends on what works for you. Now, 10 years ago, I didn't even care. 10 years ago, I wasn't going to talk to anyone. So it depends on where you are, what level you are in life and what you're looking for. Most people are just looking for a hookup. Well, if that's not going to work for you, you need to tell it. Stop pretending that if I go there, he's going to like me and he's going to like me. If he likes you, he's going to tell you. Tell the truth about yourself and accept who and what you are. From there, you can change what is not needed within. Amen. Right? You have to say what you don't like. If not being with someone makes you uncomfortable, if a man tells you that he's seeing other people, then he's telling you he's in an open relationship. So it's up to you if you want to be there. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Leave it. But don't go there and then, I don't think I like this. Don't. Because he told you from the beginning that he's seeing other people. Sometimes he doesn't even tell you he's seeing other people, but the fact that he won't commit to you tells you that he's seeing other people. So you treat him the same way. Sometimes some people have to learn to get a taste of their own medicine. Sometimes that's what works for them. And if you meet someone and you find out that they really do like you, but they're stuck in a time frame, they're stuck in a time warp that where they feel like they have to do this for their homies or they have to prove to everybody else, leave his sorry self and keep it moving. You don't have time for that. Who has time for that kind of game playing? Right? Life is meant to be lived. And look at it this way. Every day that we wake up, there are no guarantees that we're going to live tomorrow, to see tomorrow. Is there? Is there? Not the last time I checked. So today, while you live this day to the fullest. So anyone who is not participating in your life positively, they don't deserve your mental space and they don't deserve your emotional space. Stop investing in people who leave you broken. If they're not good for you, why are you giving them your space and your time? My time is valuable. Being with me is valuable. That's how you should see yourself. So I am sharing my value with you. So if you do not value me, then you don't value anything about me. You need to leave people alone, no matter how you like them, no matter how Harriet, he came out swinging. He has six-pack abs. He does this. He could be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I don't care. If he does not value you, you don't need to be there. Let him see the value of your absence. Introduce him to that. And that way you avoid a bad breakup. And you keep looking for the person who is going to value you and value all that you are. And that's the person who you save yourself for. I got to go. Time's up. Thanks so much, everybody. Join me this evening. Remember, we have an encore presentation this evening at 7 o'clock. We're going to talk with Mr. Let's Talk About It. Kawan, ask Kawan all your questions about HIV. Ask him all the questions about male sex workers. Ask him all the questions about straight men having sex with gay men. Yes, that's a thing. Men who claim they're straight but are having sex with male sex workers because they think it's a discretion thing. We're going to talk some more about that. So join me this evening. It's an encore presentation. They asked us to actually do this again. At 7 p.m., we'll be live here on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. And of course, I won't be here tomorrow. So make sure if you want to view any of our previous broadcasts, just head over to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Harriet Kamak, right? And choose from any of the previous shows. They're all titled, so you'll know which one. Just choose one that you'd like to listen to. Thanks so much, everybody. Be blessed, everybody. Hey, goodbye. See you all Monday. But make sure you tune in youtube.com tomorrow to stream from any of the shows that are previously there. Thanks so much, everybody. Be blessed. Thanks, YouTube. You're awesome.